Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. I hope you've all had a really nice week. So today I thought we'd talk a little bit about stress and stress management. So for myself, I started feeling proper stress I think about 2.5 years ago when I was finishing my master's degree. So I was working full-time, I was trying to submit my thesis, finish off my degree, and it was a really hectic time. And I know for the last couple of years I felt a lot more stress creeping into my day-to-day life, which I think is totally normal. You know, we get busier, our jobs require a lot more responsibility, they're a lot more demanding on us as well. So I thought it would be a really great opportunity to share with you guys the tips and tricks that I use to sort of manage my stress, try and reduce the amount of stressful situations that I'm in, and then when I am stressed, how I kind of manage that to get myself out of those situations. Now, don't get me wrong, stress can be really good. So I know myself, when I'm stressed, I'm so much more productive. I get a lot higher quality work content out. But it's when it starts impacting on your life and you start getting, you know, those real stress dreams and you start dreaming about work and tossing and turning and it really impacts your life. That's when you know that you really need to do something about it, and you need to kind of think about ways to change your approach to stress management. So these are a few of the things that I do to minimize the stressful situations that I'm in, and then when I am stressed, things that I try and do to minimize the stress at that time. Now, I'm still learning, I'm still trying to develop new ways to do things, so hopefully these work for you. So one thing that I find really helpful is to identify the thoughts that are making you feel a certain way. So all feelings are created by thoughts. So things like, is this going to be good enough? Am I going to have enough time to get this done? Have I got enough resources or knowledge to be able to do this? And the answers are often, you know, things that I've over-exaggerated in my head. So if I plan this out, then yes, I've got enough time to do it. I've done this before, or I've got the skills and qualifications and experience to do this. So if I put the time and effort in, then yes, this is going to be good enough. And if I need the resources, I need to ask for the help. So it's about rationalizing with those thoughts before they create the stress in your mind. And it sounds a little bit silly, but it's one of those things that I've found to be really helpful and has really reduced the levels of stress that I feel. So if you're someone that thinks about the worst case scenarios, try and think about the likelihood of that actually occurring, or things that you can do to mitigate that from happening. So what plans can you put in place to minimize that outcome? It does take a little while to get the hang of and to try and pick up on those triggering thoughts, and it is a little bit, you do need to kind of get in touch with those thoughts, but once you do, I found that it really reduces the stress. So another great tip is understanding your triggers. So we know that we can't avoid stressful situations forever. It's not practical, it's not reasonable, and we need to have stress in our lives. But if we know that we're going to be entering into a stressful situation, we can plan for it, prepare for it, and hopefully reduce the amount of stress that it brings on us. So for example, if I know I'm going to have a really hectic week at work, I'll do things to minimize the amount of stress that I'm going to feel around it. So I might not be able to minimize the workload, but I can do things like plan my meals so that I don't have to think about those things. If I know I'm going to have some really late nights, I'll cook meals, put them in the freezer, and then I can just defrost them when I get home, or I'll put things in the slow cooker in the morning and they're all finished and ready to go when I get home. And then the week beforehand, if I know I'm going into a really stressful week, I'll spend a little bit of extra time at work to clear my plate. So finish off any small tasks or anything that I know that's going to pop up the next week, and try and minimize my load for the next week. So another way that I try and minimize my stress is to write lists. So I have so many things going on in my head, and I know that I've got all these to-do lists that I haven't written down, and they've got no context, they've got no sort of basis of priority, they've got no context. So when I physically write them down, I find that then I've given them I can then give them the context, I can break the big tasks down into smaller, actionable tasks, I can prioritize them, and it calms me almost instantly. I find that when I'm really busy and really stressed, I forget to do this, and I think, oh, it's just a waste of time, you know, it's just one extra thing to do. But I find that it really, really does help when I stop, take the time, write it down, break it down, prioritize. And sometimes you actually find that it actually isn't as much as what you had going on in your head, or as you start ticking things off, it really motivates you to continue going as well. And I found that that is one of the best things that I've started to action. Okay, so what about if you're already really stressed and overwhelmed? I know sometimes I'm sitting there and I think I'm about to explode. I'm so under pressure and so frustrated that I don't know what to do. These are the times when you need to just stop, take a second, and just reassess the situation. Give yourself permission to stop and step away for 5 minutes. Go make yourself a cup of tea, go for a small walk. If you're at home, go and pet your dog. Things like that that can separate you mentally from the situation, and then start to reflect on what you're feeling. Why are you feeling like this? What can you be doing differently? How can you take the pressure off of yourself? Can you break the task down into different actionable steps? Can you reassess the way that you're doing the task? Is there someone that you can ask for help? Sometimes just a little bit of distance from the situation can make it feel a lot better. So the second thing I like to do is to think of how I can simplify this task. So are there any priorities that I can drop off the list for today? Are there things that are absolutely critical that need to be done today, and things that I can push to tomorrow or the next day? Are there things that I can change to make them simpler for myself? Am I doing things that I don't necessarily need to be doing? And are there things that I can delegate to other people or ask for help? Remember, done is better than perfect. If it's not done, then no one's going to see your work. We spend 80% of our time doing the last 20% of the work. So spend your time doing the bulk of the work, and if there's time, then put your final touches on. So the last thing that really relieves stress is to just let it all out. So this could be crying or screaming into a pillow, but things that just release that pressure. So for myself, I know that I get really, really worked up and I get really tense, and sometimes it does end up in crying, and I think that that's okay, and I don't think that that makes me weak in any way, and it really releases the tension. It makes me understand from a different perspective why I'm feeling this way, and you kind of then just get over it and you can move on. So don't let yourself wallow in the negative thoughts. Name those feelings that you're feeling, understand why you're feeling that way, and then just let it out and move on. I hope some of these tips have been really helpful for you, and I'd really love to hear from you guys as well about what you do to manage your stress or to get yourself out of stressful situations. So if you could share those as well, that would be fantastic. So if you'd like to check out my Instagram, I'm at mindful_and_messy, and if you'd really like to support my page, give this video a like, comment something down below, and subscribe to my channel. That would be really fantastic. And I'm going to upload a new video every Sunday afternoon, and I'll see you guys all again next week. Thanks, bye.